Hello, guys. Hello. Hi.
Hi, sir.
How are you?
I'm good, and how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. So, uh, I was just waiting for some people because the moment that I logged in here, there were like 10 people that were in. Oh, okay. Let me see. Can you hear me better now? Okay. I'll assume that you're hearing me better because you're not saying anything. So, now, like I was saying that I looked in a little bit and then I saw noticed that like 10 people, that's why I couldn't say anything, so that at least we have a number. So I think now we can start. So I'm just gonna start from where I left off yesterday. That is where I'm just going to proceed from where I left off yesterday there. Of which yesterday you noticed that we started designing, and then the first part that we said that we are going to make use of JSX to actually, capture the information, the what you call, to create a component, and that particular component is going to be a time tracking component. That is the component that we're creating there, a time tracking component there. So now it, and then if you notice the language that we used was JSX. That's why if you check here, it's not a language, but it's just basically, that's why we call them components. No, it's a component because now this JSX, when you're saying JSX component there, it makes use of JavaScript, of which the first part of the code, the first part code that we wrote yesterday there, this part of the code there, is basically what it is. It is everything to do with it's JavaScript with a combination of what you call this, with a combination of HTML, but I haven't written the HTML code here. But the first part there, we're we just wrote a function, and then that particular function we called it an employee time tracking. That is the name of the function there. If you check there, employee time tracking is declared, but its value is never really okay. Its value is not used and stuff. But this one here is going to be holding strings. That is what it's going to be making use of. It's going to be holding strings there. So do you know what about the name there? We are going to, like, the more that you write this, the more that you are going to be calling these items back. So for now, this is what we have. This is what we have there. So now if we uh, continue here now with the time tracking part there, I think I'm trying to think. Okay, let me create another component, right? A very important component, the component that is going to hold the names of the employees, because like it doesn't make sense just to create a component that is going to hold just that is going to do some calculations and stuff, or to time to check in the name of the employee and stuff. So we're going, yes, you're breaking up, I can't hear you. Okay, someone is saying something. What was that? Okay, I'll move on then. So anyway, I was saying that this part here, we're just checking in the time in and the time out. But I think it's gonna be fair to, have a couple of components. And then one of the first components that I want us to build is a component that holds the employee list. It's a component that holds the employee list because we do not have a database yet. So we're simply going to hard code some of these items first. So now this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to create a component here, and then that component there, I'm going to call it employee list because it holds the names of the employees. So I'm going to the components here, and then I'm going to right click, and then I'm going to create a new file. And then in that new file there, I'm going to call it employee list. That and then .jsx because it's a combination. Like I'll come back to this component that we're working on. I'm gonna come back to it, and we need to finish up on it. I'm just showing you like different aspects there. So now, as with all JavaScript or with all React, we know the first part is to basically import. So we're going to import our React again. In this case here, we're going to import our React there. So after importing our React, remember like when you import the React there, and then you're going to declare the function and stuff like that. So I'm going to talk about that now. Import React, and then now my React component here, I'm importing React from React, if you see that. And then from there, now I can start. So now, after importing React from React there, and then now I can start with a function that I need to write there. Function. So the name of the function, I'm going to give it the same name as the is the name of my folder, but with a capital E, employee. You notice the employee name comes up because it's there, and then we can usually borrow these items like that. Employee list, like that. Now, employee list now, because remember it's a name of a function, and a function has got parameters, and then because it has parameters, then which means we have to fill in whatever that we need to fill in from inside there. So now, for us now to go now there are certain aspects that we need. So we need the names of the employees, isn't it? And then we need to be able to select the employee, for instance, like on the thing. But we're going to talk about that as we go, because it's all about that design aspect. So you want to be able to view these items there, and then let's say on HTML there, on an HTML form, you're supposed to be able to view these items there, like I'm pretty sure you guys have seen like any type of the softwares that you have. You can be able to see a name, like for instance, and the surname, and then when you click on a button and stuff, and then it shows you certain information about a person. So you want our program to behave almost similarly to that. So now we want to be able to add people, and want to be able, for instance, after adding, we also want to be able to edit the information of those employees that we actually have that are actually working. So that's what we want to do. So hence now employee list, so which means I need to declare a constant that is going to hold all these employees. And for now, because I don't have a database yet, and then we're gonna do with the database part maybe next week. And then now I don't have a database yet, so I'm going to just maybe declare that as an array. Yeah. So constant. So the name of the constant here, you notice like we're basically going back and we're borrowing all those JavaScript basics that we've been dealing with there. So employees, this is React, guys. And then remember, for those that are just working with HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, you already know what to do. I actually showed you. And then if you need some more principles, especially when it comes to learning, especially the React, not React, but the responsive part. And then that is something that you can just go through and check some tutorials. And guys, when I'm saying tutorials, I'm not saying videos. I'm talking about books. I'm talking about documentation. I'm never talking about videos, because videos only show you whatever that person understands. But when it comes to tutorial, the documentation and the books, they give you more of a wider scope. Okay. So now employees, and then I want to set, excuse me. So I want to set that employee, I want to set the employees, set employees. I'm going to change some of these things, like from some of the code that I actually wrote yesterday, which is equals to, so I'm trying to think here, should I think I should borrow a use state again, from yesterday, like, those hooks that we're using yesterday. So those hooks, they are, okay. The reason why we're using that use state yesterday is those are hooks, because we do not have a database. We have to make use of a hook. But once we have a database, we can always just call from the IP, from the API. Sorry. So now this here, what we were doing yesterday about the what you call the hooks there, was basically to try to avoid that aspect of me having to write an API and stuff, because I don't have a database. Once I have a database, we can always come back and change these aspects there. So it's always good to have placeholder code while you are still figuring out on how exactly you want to do with your app. So now, which means here I need to write to declare my hooks. Let me declare those hooks there, and then I've got what on my hooks there. I'm gonna have what use state, and yeah, I'm gonna have the one that you used yesterday, use state. Yeah, there we go. You notice that it's a effect that comes with the React. And then I'm going to, okay. And why is it giving me 2 items now? Okay, that's fine. And then I'm also going to have this effect, okay, which is also something else from React. So I'm going to delete this part here. I don't know why my code is deciding to like do it away and write its own things. Okay. All right. So now we've got those 2 effects. You notice them? They're working perfectly this time. So okay, yeah. So I was here setting employees there. So which means here I need to borrow one of these items there, which is set state. I need to borrow that. So now set state, which means going to be holding like an array, for instance, and then this is an empty array because I do not have any information as of now. So don't worry about that. So like if you check here, it's still busy telling me that there is a bunch of errors there. All imports in import declaration are unused. Use state is defined but unused. So don't worry about all this stuff. It's going to disappear as we go. So we should never, we should get away from the essence of us trying to code because of errors and stuff. We should code because we need to code. So I need to also want to be able to select an employee. I need to be able to set an employee. I need to be able to select an employee, right? So let me do this. Let me declare now.
Mr. TC, you sound a little far from your mic, sir.
Okay, my mic is very close and my volume is up. I don't know what's happening there. Okay, is it better now or it's still the same? Because I don't know, my volume is up all the way.
I think you're better now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kumi. Okay, so anyway, I was saying that now I need another constant here. I'll call this one, what should I call it? Okay, selected employee, and then I'll say set selected employee. And then this one here, I will say set state. And then in my array here, I'll say now, because at this particular time, I haven't selected anyone. So hence the null value here, that means nothing. You can't put a 0 because 0 simple means there is something, but that something is called 0. But when you say null, now you're literally saying nothing, like there is nothing. So in this case here, we haven't selected anything there. So hence we have that. So now the next part here, let me do this. Because remember, I said that we're using these set states there, we're simulating data. So which means now I need to do this. So I'm going to write a comment here to comment on what I'm going to do here. So now I want to simulate the data, simulate data. Simulate the data to replace API. So here we're simulating the data to replace the API calls, because like we're saying this before, we do not have any type of data as of yet. We do not have a database. So I cannot work with something that I do not have. Okay. I cannot work with something that I do not have. So hence the reason why I am simulating that particular data that you actually have here. So now this is me simulating the data. So which means here, I'm going to declare a constant. This constant here is going to have sample employees. So I'll just call it sample employees, the way that I wrote it here, employees, and then which is equals to, so I'm going to give them names here. So now I'm going to start like dealing with these people here. So I'll do this. Now to deal with these guys here, I'm just gonna, okay, let me say this. I'm gonna give them one an ID. I'm gonna give them a name. I'm like an ID number or a worker number. So I think I'd rather work with an ID, simple, and then with a name and an hourly wage. So that's what we work with there. So I'll call it ID, and then the ID, and then I'm going to call this one here 001, or let me just call them one. I'll call this one number one there, and then number one is a name. And then the name that number one has is going to be, let me give him a name and say maybe this one is going to be, I'm trying to think of a name. I'm going to call him Pierre, Piet, like that, and then Claudie. I don't even know where I got that surname from. So, and then from there, and then we say that this guy has got a certain wage. So I'll say hourly wage. Pierre gets paid by the hour, and his money is going to be 150 rand. So that is how much he gets paid an hour. And then I'm done with this gent here. And then from there, okay, I'm getting a problem here. Let me do this. Okay, it's the dot here, so I'm supposed to use this. No. Let me just write 150 in. Getting an error here. It's an unexpected token. Why am I getting an error? It's weird. Oh, okay, I think it's this, like this. Ah, perfect. So as I can say, 0.00 here is still fine. Okay, now there was I needed a comma because I've got a lot of these guys here. So the second one here will be number 2, and then the third one here will be number 3. And then this one here, let's say it's getting paid 250 rand. This one is getting paid 160 rand an hour. And then this one here will be maybe this D hold there. And then I like this name better. Asante. Okay, and then the other one here, this one is going to be John Doe. John Doe. So these are the 3 employees that we have declared. And notice there, I'm busy using square brackets for these items because I am writing these as arrays. So that's why I say the constant here, it's a constant of arrays of employees that is a constant of arrays there. And then now this constant of arrays there is getting its data from somewhere. From where? From the sample of employees that we have there. This is where it's getting its data from. So that's why we've got an API call, which is a simulated API call there that we have. So now on this note here, so now we can literally
and everything, and I've exercised, but I have to suffer it. One day I'll just faint and die. I wonder how you feel. When that you have a friend that you don't even know. I use it at night. How often? Because I can't open the window, so I. How often? Every night.
space away to mute for you there, my man. Way to mute you. Okay, so now I guess I can carry on. Now, as I was saying that, so we declared there, we've put in the employees, we have like set in the names there, and getting a small error here. It tells me that this is not declared, this is not defined, which is not a problem. Sort out sometime later. And then next up, now we need to work on a few items now. Now we need now to, call these samples. Now we need to fetch that data from the APIs, right? So we are going to do this. We're going to use effect. Now, use effect in this case here is another hook. That's why I was saying that these are simulating APIs. You can replace this with your normal API later when you know how to write the APIs. But in this case here now, I'm going to make use of a use effect there to simulate my API in this case here. So use now it's working as a function here. Use effect and then like this and then like that. Okay. So now this use effect here. I want to make it more like what you call a function, basically, as I'm saying that this particular function here for that deals with it's going to deal with I'm trying to find the proper words. Like it's going to be your API call that calls the data from the employees that you have actually set. So I'm just going to write a note on that to explain that aspect there. So I'm just going to write a note. So let me just finish up this code here, and then we're going to write a note on that. So this one is going to call out employee. it's set employee, set employees. Okay, this constant. I want it to be able to call this constant here. And then after calling that constant, I want it to get its information from where? From set. Oh no, not from set, from sample. It's information from sample. Notice there. So I want this here to be linked to set employees. See this set employees here? I want it to get information from that. You notice now things are coming along. Some of the errors are now disappearing, the errors that we're having, because now we're starting to connect these items. That's why we're getting those errors that talk about data not being used and stuff, which is basically redundancy. So that is what we're using here. So I've done this one here. So let me just bring this back a little bit and then separate this. And this is an array. And implement my particular array there. And I think that's fine. I have a small error here. Okay. React hook missing dependencies, employees, set employees. Okay, I'm gonna deal with that. So now, do you see this part that I was talking about? This is basically inheritance. So set employees is inheriting its data from sample employees. That is basically inheritance. So we're basically now we're starting to apply the principles of OOP in this manner here. So as I said, that now as a comment, let me just put this as a comment here. This here is going to fetch the employee, data from the API. From the API, which is the API? This here is your API. This whole thing is your API. It's basically a sample API. So it's going to fetch this code here is going to fetch that data from the API. You see that the employee data from the API and also update employee status. Right, and then also in this scenario here, now let me just, that is all there is to it. So as we said that you can actually replace, so let me just write that you can replace this with your actual API. See that you can replace this with, so this part here can be replaced with your actual API, the API that gets data from the database, and this part here can be replaced with another API that deals with how to capture that data from that function, from the database into the function that you have. So it is up to you on what you're going to do with that then. So now we've done that. Now moving on. Now move on now. Now we need now to do certain aspects there, and still remember that there's still the HTML part to do, because yesterday we didn't touch that part there. We're going to just poke into it today. So now for us now to handle the employees, because we're speaking about the employees, actually we need a button click event. So what happens when the button is actually clicked? We need to do that. So we need to borrow that information there. So now I'm going to declare another constant here. Constant. This constant here is going to handle something. I want it to handle employee click. Want it to be able to handle employee click. So what is it? So now it's it's handling this part here, employee. But I want it to handle the employee there. So that it can so that we can be able to, you know, to, like when we click on the button, so that we can be able to deal with that information there. So that's why now this here is going to deal with employee. So each and every employee is going to be dealt with. Yes. Okay. Now, I thought London wanted to say something. So anyway, I was saying, so I want this here, this constant function, which is basically a function inside of a function there. I want it to be able to handle the clicks. What happens every time when I click a button that deals with employees? So I want it to do something. So then I want you to be able to set the selected employee. You see that, remember, we've got that set selected employee. So I want it to be able to call that code here, this part here. I want it to be able to do that. So every time, whenever you click, I want you to be able to set the selected employee. So I'm going to copy that part here. I'm going to copy and paste it here. Set selected employee. What selected employee am I selecting? I'm talking about that specific employee that that I have selected. So which means I still have to call employee inside here. I have to call it inside. And then from there, we're done with this current method here. And then now I need to write another method. You notice that there's so many of these methods, they just keep on coming. There's so many of these methods there. But now each and every method deals with certain things. Like for instance, this one here deals with the selected employee. This one here. See, there's a relation between this constant method there, this here, employee handle click is its relationship with this one in line 6. This one here, set effect, which is an API, it basically deals with that part there where you've got your set employees. These set employees are actually taken from the sample employees that we have. See that? So there's always a relation when it comes to, you know, data or any method that you actually write. So now in this case here, now we need another method. So now we need a method where we can edit employees information, because it's pointless for us to have employees information that we cannot edit. So what if the person decides to change their address or change their phone number or change certain aspects? So we need to be able to edit that kind of information of that employee. Even their statuses can change. For instance, they can be employed or they can be promoted to a manager. We need to be able to edit that. So we need a function that is going to handle that. So now I'm going to declare another function. Hence, if you check, this is the reason why it's so important for you to do your research, so that you have an idea of the kind of functions that you are going to be making use of. So handle edit. So now this edit handle employee is also going to call employee. Also going to call employee. It's also going to call employee. So now when calling employee, I want it to be able to, you know, write some sort of message there and say maybe you are editing a certain employee's name, isn't it? So let's write that message there. I'm trying to, okay, so basically we're going to call a console. Console.log, as I'm not new to this. Console.log, and then inside here, I'm going to remember that thing that we did. See, they even like Visual Studio Code even likes writing things for us. Employee editing. If we're using a template literal, remember this one for this part here, because we have to call out the name of the person. So employee.name, right? So want to call out their name, simple like that. So let's say you want to edit their names like that. So then we've got that function that is going to be able to do that. So let me just write a note, this one here. Comment out, always comment out your notes there. So edit employee. Now, if you notice here, we actually have functions that are doing certain aspects there. So now the next aspect here is, let's say I want to delete an employee. How then do I delete an employee? You see that? I want to delete an employee. So I'm going to copy this code here. I'm going to change a few things, but I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Notice const here, instead of edit, I'll change this to deleting an employee, which means also here, I'm also going to delete employee there. No, delete employee, employee.name, edit employee, employee.name. Remember, when you're calling this using a template literal we actually call, if let's say the name that I've selected was John Doe, and then instead of saying employee.name here, it will give John Doe. That's what it's simple going to do there. And then, yeah, so I've written the methods there. So the first method that we wrote here, notice there, we declared a function that is going to handle all of the workers that we have. And then from there, then we wrote an API that is going to call the data. But in this case here, it's not exactly an API, but we rather declared a constant of sample data, which calls out an array that has got the information of the people that we have. And then from there, we used an use effect, which basically simulates an API that we have there, the API that is going to be setting the employees according to the employee data that we have. And then from there, and then we've got three functions. One is to handle the click, what happens when I click on the button. And then the other one is there's an edit, the other one there's a delete. So I can either click on the employee to show and display the information, and then I can also edit the employee's information. I can delete the employee's information. So that is what we're simple doing there. So now, and then from there, yeah, from there, I think we're done. Now we want to return. So now for us to return, remember I said that because we're using JSX, JSX now does this thing. That's something very, very like awesome. So now it combines JavaScript with HTML. So that is where we are now. Now that is what we are writing. Now we're writing that, we're writing the code that is supposed to be returned. Because remember, JavaScript code is not returned, but HTML code is the one that is returned. It's the one that is displayed on any web browser, whether you're using designing a web app or what. As long as you're using a browser to display the information, that information is going to be displayed through an HTML page. Hence the reason why, as much as we have our JavaScript here is going to simply write code. But our what you call this, our HTML is the one that is going to assist us in terms of making that code actually show. JavaScript makes the code do certain things, but HTML shows the whatever structure that you actually have decided to do. So here now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to define a div class. Div. So inside that div class here, I'm going to have a header, h2 header. So now in the h2 header, I'm going to say employee list. Employee list that is in the h2 header. So our employee list here, and then inside there, I need, let's say, certain aspects there. So remember, I've got that employee, so I need to be able to show the ID. I need to be able to show the name. I need to be able to show the wage. So those are the things that I need to show. So I'm just going to write code that is going to simply do that. So, but remember, as much as it's HTML, it has a little bit of JavaScript in it. So inside here, I'm going to do a UL, an ordered list, and then my UL here is going to have certain aspects. So the first thing that I need to do here, I want to map my employees. Let me map my employees there. Employees dot map. Employees, not employee dot map dot. So I'm mapping these employees from employee. So I'm getting all that data from these guys here. I'm trying to fix this thing here. Employees. So let me fix this. Guys, remember the way that I code is different from the way that you code. Ne? So some of you prefer to write code in one line. I don't like writing code in one line. I can't exactly see the code that I'll be working on if I'm working with code in one line. So I always prefer my code to be indexed and tabbed, written in different lines so that I can, even if I need to comment, I'll comment on that piece of code. But that's how I prefer to write my code. So inside here, I'm going to have my list. Let me do this li, and then remember my li there, and then these are the lists that I actually have. So in the list there, I'm gonna have just one list there. Then inside there, I'm going to have let me span that. You remember what span means, right? Under Java, even in JSX, it does exactly the same thing. Span is span. So let me say on click. So now I'm actually mirroring these aspects there. So I'm on clicking here. Okay. What call? So I want to handle the employee data here. And the employee click, which is this dot. Close the math span there. I'm not done. So I want to be able to click the name, right? Let me call out the name that I actually want to click out. So employee.name employee dot name. So I want to call out there. So okay, let me just close this a little bit. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry, I just zoomed that so I can see my code in one line. I hope you guys can see. I know it was more visible, I mean, convenient for you guys at that time, but I need to be able to see everything written in one line also for your own benefit. So now notice here, I'm spanning there on click event, which is to handle the employee, that employee that we have. You notice some of the errors that we're having there, they are disappearing bit by bit because we're handling this. And then that's what we're simply doing here. Hang with that employee, click there of the employee name, and then with that span there, that's what we're doing there. And then next up here will be us basically dealing with a button. So I'm going to deal with that button there. Let me do this. And click. So the button on click also does basically the same thing like that. And then equals to forward. So I want this button here to handle the editing of the employee because there are different buttons, isn't it? So we want to be able to select a name, and then we want to be able to deal with the buttons. Either you're going to edit the information or are going to delete the information. That is what we're simply going to do. So writing these methods there, they cooperate with those issues that we have. So I'm going to handle here. Here I'm handling the edit part. So employee edit employee. That's the part that I'm handling out here of which of the employee. And then because each and everything that we do, we have to know what exactly we're doing. And then here we want to edit the information. So hence I'm editing it. And then the last part is simply going to delete. So I'm going to copy this pattern that I have, and I'm going to replace it down here. And then now instead of handle this button here, I'm going to say handle delete, and then this is going to delete. So these are the methods that we have. That is most of the errors that we had Akon, except for some of the items they selected employee, they are going to deal with that. But the errors that we have Akon. All right. So, and then next up, we're done with that first part of the listings. we're done with that. So now we have terminated the UL. I think everything is done. The UL has been terminated. So yeah, and then this one here terminates that one there, and then this one here terminates. Okay, cool. Let me just my face like that. I think this is better. Net. Then it's not it like that. And then okay. So I'm done with that first part there. And now I'm not done yet. Now I need to deal with the selected employee. I need to deal with the selected employee. What do I do with the selected employee? That is what I need to deal with. So now with a selected employee, because according even to the errors, if you look here, this is the only method that I actually even used. So I need to make use of that particular method there. So now the selected employee, I'm trying to see what I can do with that selected employee. Okay, let me do this. Is that, am I under div? I'm still supposed to be inside that return, yes. So I'm supposed to be here. Let me do this, give it space. Okay, in line with div there. Then I'm going to deal with the selected employee. Selected employee, yes, which is that. Now, what do I do with the selected employee? Now, with the selected employee, I want to be able to select, I want to be able to show the information that I have. That is what I simply want to do. I want to be able to see that information of the people there. What happens when you select an employee? Okay. So excuse me. Okay, and then inside here, I'm going to call out a div also because I'm writing it like a div class here, and inside my div class, let me just check that. Inside my div class, and this is where I want to, show the selected information of these guys here. So I'm going to call out an H3 header, and then I'll say, let me do this. Selected employee, and now you notice like there isn't something here that we're doing that is I don't know if you guys think that everything that we're doing here is kind of rocket sciencey, but I doubt that very much. So name, and then I'm going to call out the name. You know how to call out a name, and then it's simple, more of like a template literal. That's how you call out a name. Then that's where you say employee.name. So in this case here, it's selected employee dot name, because we want this particular method to be able to call out, to select and call out the name of the person that it's handling at that particular time. And then also I want another paragraph here. Remember, this P is a paragraph formatting, and I want also to show the hourly rate. Hourly, how much is it? Okay. And then also this one here, because this one I want to format it as a currency. So I'm simply going to do exactly the same thing. It's template literals. Always remember, always template literals for this. So selected employee dot hourly rate. Selected employee dot hourly wage. See, and then dot, because it's currency has to be formatted in a very special way, so we have to do that. So to fixed, okay, to fixed, and then to fixed, it might fix there, and then done. And then I think I have almost enough information that I need. So okay. Oh snap. And then I think I just made a tiny blunder here. This div here is supposed to be somewhere here, because everything is supposed to be under the same div. Okay, there we go. I think that's where it's supposed to be. And yeah, it should be done now. So yeah, and so here, this is where you want to, you can write the code there to display. Then I'll just comment it out here. This display your display the information. I commented out what's in the bracket, but here you can write however that you want to display the information. Notice even the number of errors that we had, they've decreased by much. So the only part that's left is just this employee list here, which is not a trace match. And then the use effect is fine now. Then what's left is the use state there is declared, but this value is never used. This one is fine now. It's working properly. Then this one here says the React hook use effect is missing some dependencies. Set employees. Okay, but I've called it out here, so is it giving me an issue? But anyway, we'll sort that out once we want to display the info. But yeah, so do you notice now? You have your top part here, JavaScript, and then you've got the bottom part here, which is more or less your HTML, because everyone knows what a div class is. Everyone knows what a paragraph is. Everyone knows what an H3 is. It's just that JSX is a combination of both JavaScript and Java to give you something more comprehensive. But this is what literally we have right now. So now this here was the what you call this, the code that we have for the employees. And it just doesn't stop here. There's other components that we also need to add. There's other components that we also need to add here. This is one of the components, which was the employee list. But I'm not done. Remember, I still need to export this employee list there. So let me just do that before I think that I'm done. Okay, I'm not supposed to terminate here. Then export. Remember, so when I'm exporting, I always have to call out the default. So default employee list. That one. So I've exported this one, and then it just got rid of one of the errors that I had actually. And then yeah, and then from there, the only stuff that is left is that use state there. which is not exactly an error, but yeah. It just talks about it not being defined and stuff like that. These are not errors, it's just warnings that say that something might be wrong with your code. Doesn't mean that it's wrong, but it's not, so something like that. But yeah, so we are done with this part here. You notice, so this particular module or component here, simple dealt with one thing, dealt with employees. One, showed the employees that we have. Two, you can select on a particular employee. After selecting on a particular employee, you can either edit the information of that particular employee, or you can delete the information of that particular employee, or you can show the information of that particular employee. So that's what this code is all about. See, like it looks so much complicated for the amount of work that this simple does, but yeah, that's how coding is. That's how it simple works. So this here was that particular module there. So now, as I said that if I have to explain some of these aspects there, that I say that the use state and use effect, these are basically hooks that are used to, manage the state of employees. And also they are used to fetch data from the simulated APIs, which is the one that you just created there, and then replace, you can replace your sampler employees with an actual API call to retrieve your data from, from your backend or from your database in this case. Also, now when an employee name is clicked using that handle employee click function, that function is actually called to select the employee displaying the details. So the moment that you click on the name, you see that when the employee name is clicked, that function handle employee click is then called. Then when it's called, and then it displays the details that are on the list. And then you can also, what you can also implement the handle edit employee or the handle delete functions according to the information that you need. So if, for instance, you want to edit, you then click on the edit. You want to delete, you just click on the delete there. So that's what the symbol does there. So like in a real app, what's supposed to happen is that most times is there's a module that opens, or a modal that opens, that allows you for deleting, or another one that shows a confirmation dialog box that asks you, are you really sure that you want to delete this employee? It just doesn't delete it just like that. So you have to write code for that to check, like ask the person that wants to delete. Maybe they did it by mistake. So imagine if it doesn't confirm, then they just delete by mistake. So those are information that has to be that should be looked at there. So now yeah, that is the employee what. And then now there's also another module that you can add. And then this particular module here is for basically what you call this, is for displaying essential details about a specific employee. Like for instance, if you need some more information about that employee, and then you can have that other, that you can show the email address, their phone number, see that, things like that. So if there's no employee that is selected, also you can just call that. So basically, it's what this item does, this module here. So I'm thinking, and then there is also another module that we can write. Also, this particular module there is going to, like, okay, that there's a time tracking module here that we had. Actually, according to now, there's information that I've actually updated since I've created a new module. So if I go back to the time tracking module here, there's certain information that I don't need anymore. Like for instance here, I don't need this anymore. I don't need the employees. Like in this case, I don't need this. We don't need that anymore because the information has already been put, which means this handle also is no longer needed. Okay. No longer needed, that one there. Yeah, but the rest of the item there, and then this for constant data there, we're going to talk about it. But yeah, so now we can literally edit some of the data here that we want to do. Like for instance, let me see, there's time in, time out, and then time in, time out. and then I need time entries. Then I need to check if the person is clocked in or not. Those are some of the aspects that we need. So time entries. Let me do this. Let me deal with time entries here. I'm just gonna add. See that I'm just adding on this particular module there. So because already like the names are already there, so we can always get those names there. Time entries. So which means I am going to set this time entrance here. Okay, and then now, but the time entrance now cannot be a string. This has to be because okay, yeah, cannot be a string. It has to be more of that. And then also, what else do I need? I need to check if this person clocked in or not, isn't it? So let me copy this. Need to be more comprehensive there and then paste. So let me do this. Is clocked in, and then set is clocked set is clocked in. So I'm checking here. So use state, and then now this one here has to be a boolean. So I'm just gonna remove those items there and say false. But now what I'm simply saying here is, remember, this person hasn't started work yet. So which means their state will always be at false unless they've actually clocked in. See that? So the time in, time out, the handles are already written, which is what we did yesterday. We wrote those handles there, and then we get the submit handle there. So any other code, I'm just going to maybe fill it in inside here. So time in, time out. Let me see. Time in, time out. Right? Do I have name here? Okay. I have time in, time out. Okay, now I need to deal with clocking in. So let me write a method on clocking in here. Const. That is like basically doing the same thing, time and time and time and time again. Basically, you're doing the same thing. Okay. No, it's not. It's handle. So I have to write handle. So handle. I'm checking if the person is clocked in or not. So I'll just call it clock in. So handle clock in, and is equals to parameters. Current time. So this is the current time. Like what is the time currently? So I want to call out a date function. So I'll call it new date. New date here, and then dot. So I want the local time. So I have to call out a function for date. So this is the reason why I always say always stick to documents. Like this here, documents will always teach you. It changes so constantly. So I'll say set to local time. Is it a string or date? But I want to work with the time. I do not want to work with a date. So to local date string. You see that? Oh, to local time string. Sorry. So this is what I want to work with, because I'm not dealing with the day, but I'm dealing with the time. So that is why I say the current time and then date and then to new current, like that, so that we can capture the current time. So because there are so many of these, so it's two local. If you're dealing with a date, then it's two local date string, not time. So that, see that, and then now I need to set the timeout. Set timeout dot. Oh, come on. Set timeout dot. Now set timeout. No, not dot. I want to capture the current time. Yep. Like that, and then now, and then here, then I'll say now, if the person is clocked in, you see that now I'm handling a clock in. So if the person is actually clocked in, then which means I now need to change that clock. You see that I need to change it to a true. So I'm going to set is clocked in to be true. So I'm going to set clocked in. You see that? Then I'm going to switch it to a true value if the person is actually clocked in, and then which means that the value for the clocking in also is going to change to a true. See that? And then from there, I'm going to copy this code here because I want to do the same thing for what if the person didn't pitch for work. So if the person didn't pitch for work, I also need to deal with that part there. So I'm going to handle a clock out. I'm also going to handle a clock out. So clock out, and then I'm still dealing with the same the same constant time, which is basically to what, and then set the current time, and then so is set is clocked in, and then this has to be false. Spelling. That this is going to handle the clocking in and the clocking out of things there. So now I think we've catered for those aspects there when it comes to our thingy there, when it comes to our to our code. So now I need to save this information. I need to save this information into entries. I need to save that information. That is why like we need this history, these time entries. So those time entries that we have there. So we need to do that. We need to set that. So let's look at that. The time entries part. So the time entries part, I'm going to write the code inside here. So with the time entries part here, let me say set time entries, because I need to write this into the history logbooks. So let me do this here, and I'll just save it as time entries. Okay, it's refusing to. And then I'll just type it down, time entries, then comma. And then I'll need to capture the time in and the time out, right? So time in, and then comma, time out. I need to capture it here inside of the time entrance. So I want the entries to be able to capture that information. I'm missing another dot. So sorted. So now you notice here our time entrance are simply going to capture the time in and the time out because we need to see that. So because every time whenever you clock out, so the clock out is supposed to, because just clocking in is not enough. So once the employee comes in, they clock in. when they leave, they clock out. The moment they clock out, and then that clock history has to be saved other time entries. That employee so and so entered work at such and such a time and exited work at such and such a time. You see that those are time entries there. But now if the person doesn't clock out when they leave, which means the time entry is not going to capture that particular piece of information there. So it's not going to be saved in the history. So which means according to the calculations, you are still at work, you haven't left. So if you come in the following day and then you clock in, which means you are going to wipe out the information from the so it's going to look, it's going to see that as if you just actually clocked out from the previous shift, which will be like, which would disturb the whole capturing information, capturing process. Right. I think I'm done here with this part here. So there's now what I need to do now is I need to to write the HTML code for that. So now I need to retain that piece of code there. I need to retain that piece of code. So now let us return the code. As I said, that there's some information here that we need to, that I need to delete, that I actually don't need anymore because of the data that is already been captured in the other form. So I actually don't need it here. So I'm going to simply delete that information here like this. I'm deleting this. And I'm also going to delete that because I don't deal with handles anymore. With not handles, but I'm not dealing with that anymore. So now return part comes in. Now the return part comes in. So now I want to return my code. Now for me to return my code, I need to do this. Okay, well, what did I do here? Okay, I'm not supposed to close this, but I'm supposed to down here. Okay, 10. Now remember, for us to return, and then you are returning parameter. So whatever that you are writing, you're actually writing it inside that return thingy. And then this is the one that I'm supposed to terminate. And then, yeah, like that. So now I can write my HTML code there. Obviously, the first thing that I'm always starting with is a div. See? Then inside my div, I've got an h2. Then this h2 here is going to display the time. So I'll say time. And I'll say employee time tracking. Comprehensive employee time tracking. Right. So now this time tracking here is simple, doing what it is, time tracking. So the first thing that we need to do, I need to check on a few things. So one of the first things that we need to do here, we need to check. We're checking. So what are we checking? We're checking if our employee is at work. See? So is logged in. We're checking. Is the person at work? That's what we're simply doing. First things first. Is the person at work? Right. So and then from here, I'm supposed to actually this, and then okay, perfect. So let me just send these two together. Okay, it's clocked in. So we're checking, is our employee at work? So how do we check that the employee is at work? So which means we need to have certain tags here that are going to check. So we're going to write a div. So our div here is going to be, okay. So our div here is going to have some info. So inside here, I want to check some certain things here. Then I want to check if the person clocked in, and then I want to see the time that they actually clocked in. See? So which means I'm gonna have a paragraph here that deals with the status of the person. So the status is simple, it's checking. It's the status. So if the person is clocked in, then the status is going to tell them that they've actually clocked in. And then from there, then I need another paragraph that is going to capture the time that they actually, clocked in. So I need to see the time there. So I'm gonna have a time in, and then time in is going to capture the information from the item there at the top from the JavaScript code, which is the time in. That is where it's going to capture that information from. So now, then next up will be the button for clicking out. So because now we want to check if the person now is going to click out, isn't it? So then a button. So now again, guys, remember you're supposed to have a clue on what you need before you even start on these things. Have a clue on the process, on the entire process. You're supposed to have a clue. See that? So button on click, and then I want you to handle the clock out. Ne? Yes, I want you to handle the clock out. So button on click, then I want you to be able to handle the clock out. So let me do this. Handle the clock out, and then that is the button there. I want you to be able to do that, and then inside here the button to have that caption, say out, and then my div closes, ne? And then yeah, and then yeah, and then from there, and then I need to see what time they actually, when they clock out, I need to know what exactly they do afterwards when they clock out. So let me deal with this part here. I'm trying to think here how to play this one here. Okay, I still have there. Right, and then if so, now I want to deal with the other part. Want to deal with the other part. Now, the other part that I want to deal with is, as I'm saying, that I want to deal with the clocking out. Isn't we dealing with the clocking in? Now we're dealing with the clocking out. So we need to see the status and things like that. So now what I'm simply going to do is I'll copy the code. Yeah, let me just copy this code here. Okay, and then I'll just simply paste it here. And then I'll change this clock out. And then I need to see the time out. And then I want them to Okay. But now because they're clicking, then I also need to see what time they actually came in. Both time in and the time out. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, now we have some of the information that we need, and yeah. Oh yeah, we also need to display the entrance, ne? Yeah, also need to display the entrance because we still have entries that need to be displayed. So the entries, I'm going to display them right here. I'm going to play with my entries right here. So the entries now, because I need to display those entries. The entries here, I will simply do this because I want to see their history first. So H3, notice there, then I'll say time entries because I need to see like who came at what time and did what. Not like exactly the what, but yeah, I need to see who came at what time, like according to the employees, isn't it? So that's what you want to actually check at this particular time there. So all right. Now to check that, okay, how do I do that? Let me see. I'll make it an unordered list. Okay, like that. Then inside I'm gonna have an li obviously, and then all right, cool. Then in my ul, yeah, inside my ul here, I need to display the information that I need to display first, which is the time entries. So I need to map it out like the previous time that I did there. So time entries dot map, because I want to map them out here because they're getting the information from an array, so they have to be mapped. And then I'm mapping these entries. So let me do this. So now when I'm mapping these entries, so let me enter them, entry, comma, index. So I'm going to capture them as indexes, right? Yeah. And then from there, and then I've got this forward. All right, so now, yeah, these LIs have to be actually inside here. And then this has to be down. Let me just put it down. Okay. LI. So under my LI, what do I need to show? The time in and the time out, right? Yeah. So that's what I just simply need to show here. So time in, time in, and then the time in. Remember, I need to call my thingy. What you call this? My template literal. So entry time in, because I'm using that dot time in. And also I need to show the timeout, right? Timeout, which is timeout. And then this will be indicated by entry dot timeout. Okay. Yeah. I think my thing is about done so far. So this has to be held inside. Okay, so I think I'm done. I just need to export it. That's all. Yeah, I just need to export it. Export this time tracking thing. Yeah, so export default time tracking. What? Default. I'm tracking. Okay. Is there a spelling wrong? Why is it not picking up here? Oh, okay. Employee time tracking actually. What's the name? That's a name. What's the name? Employee time tracking. Perfect. All right. So that is what I was exporting there. So yeah, done. So now if you check, this one is minimal errors actually. Actually it's supposed to be 4, so the same because of the use state there. But yeah, if you notice here, now we've got all of these items there that we have. The only things that are left out there are the handling of the times there, these constants there. But there's no code for handling the timeout. So yeah, but otherwise you notice here that each and everything, like as we're explaining, everything there in terms of our code somehow means something. So do you have any questions regarding the stuff that you have covered so far? Remember, guys, what I taught you, that learning, whatever that you're learning, and application, two very different things. Hey, are you guys here? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, we are here.
No.
Yes, it's just the sound. That's the sound.
It's just
Making
what?
us too quiet. The sound that's making us this quiet.
Or the sound?
The sound.
Oh, okay. Troy, what's up, man? What's your end?
Yeah, how's it?
I'm good, bro. How's it going?
Great, great. No, awesome. So after the whole process, can you deploy it so that we can see how it looks from the prospect of
now it's a little bit too premature.
Yeah,
let me
sure.
let me work on I'll work on the index, and
sure.
yeah, I'll work on the index over the weekend. I'll just work on the index, and then from there, then I'll show you how everything looks. That's for Monday. I should be done with the index, and then from there, then I'll show you how it actually looks. Then I'll deploy it.
All right. From this part on, it was just to make the functionality to operate according to our spec.
Yes.
Yes.
Because,
Okay, cool.
because remember, I also need to add CSS there.
Yeah, sure.
Like if you remember last time, I actually imported, I think, Bootstrap.
Yes.
So, but I
Yes,
still
yes.
need to implement CSS here. In this case,
Yes, yes.
I'll make use of Bootstrap, yeah, or
Yeah,
Material
yeah.
UI. Between the two, I'll see which one I'm gonna use. But
alright.
then I'm going to show you guys as.
So which one do you prefer best in terms of Bootstrap and Material UI?
Prefer Bootstrap. Any like
Bootstrap, eh?
Bootstrap anytime, but Material makes
Yeah.
things look even nicer,
Yeah.
actually more than Bootstrap. But Bootstrap
Mhm.
is more functional, though.
Mm.
Yeah.
Can you scroll up? I just want to see from the top, from where the code starts, so I can see how. Okay. Okay.
This is the employee tracking. It's not the
Yeah,
employee list.
yeah.
The employee list is on the other side. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Can we do the list? Let me just see the list. About what John Doe and stuff.
Yeah. This is the list.
Okay. Okay. Can you please scroll down for me for a bit? Okay. Yeah. All right. Then okay. All right. So on a line 35, do you see line 35, right?
Yeah. Return part.
Yeah. Return. Yes, sir.
Mhm.
Okay. So just
Return
go
is
down.
what
Yeah.
return is what you
Mhm.
see on the screen. That is return.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Return is what you
yes.
see. Yeah.
Mm,
So
mm, mm.
what you see here, the JavaScript from line 33
Yes.
up. Line
Yeah.
33 up
Line
is
33, line
how-
33. Where are you?
Yeah.
Where are
Like
you?
I'm
Line
showing here.
35. Okay.
Yeah.
93. Okay.
This
Line
line
33 up.
33.
Yes.
Yeah, from
Yeah,
line
yeah.
33 up is strictly
Mm.
JavaScript, which deals
Yes.
with behavior. It deals with behavior. And then
Yes.
and then line 35 down now deals
Mhm.
with what you see, and then what you see, like when you press the button, and then it's going to
Mhm.
implement the behavior that is at the top. You see that? So this
Yes.
from
Yes.
down here, what you see. From up there,
Yes.
behavior. Yeah.
Yes. I
So-
know. I'm following very well. I'm following very well. Okay.
Good.
I know. Thank you for clarification, because I wanted to see that part so that we know that this one it's how the behavior, and then the
Yeah.
other part it's okay,
It's
cool. Yeah.
well, the other part is basically what you see and like
Yes.
how when you interact, yeah, things like that.
Yes, how it interacts. Yes, sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, sure thing. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. So hourly wage then to fix. Okay. All right. Okay.
Then
Alright.
then from on Monday, and then you're going to see the calculations and everything else, and then you're going
Yes.
to see our entire implementation. So hopefully on Monday I'm done, and then it's actually working, and then from there, and then you guys can see the code, because at least now you have an understanding of how the code actually works in terms of the designing part of it. And then
Exactly.
on Monday, if I can show you now the app done,
Mm.
and then I can always go back to the code and explain. But as long as you see the app actually doing certain things, and then I think that will be like
Yeah, the notification of everything. Yeah, but this one, Mr. TC, like I said, December time when we close the app, you can see from your point of view.
Yeah.
Can you imagine right now doing the handles and the employees and so stuff as that and
No,
notificate? Yay.
It's because you know my thingy, my target is you guys make something, even if it's not really interactive for now, but
Sure.
make something
Yeah.
so that you can see that you guys are doing something. But your actual project, actual project is when you guys are about to finish your course, when you guys are finalizing your POE and stuff. That is when the last of these items, like when that's when you have a proper working app, which is like which is like 3 or 4 months from now. But for now, what you need to submit at the end, submit something that we can see that you actually have done something.
The documentation that explains. Yes. No, I got you.
And
I got you.
And an idea of the code of your app.
Yeah.
You see that?
No. Yeah. True. Yeah. No. Hey, it's a job and a half. It's a job and a half. Yeah.
Yeah. It is. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, but I really appreciate on how you went about it, because now we have clarity in terms of I'm not sure if I'm speaking for myself, but yeah, but we have clarity on how to go about it in terms of the functionality and the look and feel on the other side, and how to make the buttons to interact with each other and to synchronize each and every button so that it can react upon to whatever that we're clicking on and so forth. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, no. Yeah,
Right.
fully appreciate it. Fully
If
appreciate
you
it.
can
Sure.
see that, you see the functions, they
Yeah.
always go hand in hand with the
Mm.
look and yeah.
Okay. So hold on. Line 23. So if the handle clock out and then okay. The string and then
So
it's
yeah,
all right. Yeah, sure. All right.
it's
Okay.
fine.
Yeah. Okay, so on Monday we're gonna get the look and feel, or what's going on?
Yeah, on Monday you guys are gonna get the look and feel. So on Monday, that is
Mhm.
my target is look and feel.
Sure.
Supposed to be done so that you guys can
Mhm.
have an idea on how it actually looks. But you're gonna have like this mediocre kind of app, and then
Sure.
from there, and then we're going to start working on the database side and the back end side, so that I can show
Yes.
you. And then
Yeah.
after we're done with the database side, and then we can come
Mhm.
back now, add those APIs in the place where I was saying that
Yes.
we're
Yes.
simulating those APIs. Then we're going to
Yeah.
add those
Yeah. Sure.
APIs later. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going
Because
to keep working
it will be
working-
redundant if you don't. Yeah.
yeah. So
It will
for
be
now,
redundant if you don't deploy them. Yeah. Sure.
yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
for now,
Is it possible for Mr. Spooner to update this so that we can follow suit on what you coded, and then when you come with the interface as well, so that we can have like so much clarity upon it.
okay. I'll
Yeah,
like you
yeah,
say,
yeah.
you said you was gonna upload. So I'm pretty sure
The
it's
one
gonna
from yesterday, the one from
yeah,
yesterday. Did you
yeah.
upload it?
Yesterday and today. Upload them
Did you
today.
upload it?
Today,
Oh,
tonight.
okay. Let me just refresh. Probably didn't see it, but yeah. If that's the case, then perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, thanks.
Cool, Troy. Cool.
All right, sure thing.
So the rest of you guys, are we good? Bossy, hi. Mice. Okay. Pascalina, Lirato, Matome, are we guys okay? I'm just naming names here, the ones that I'm looking at.
I'm okay on my end. I think I'll just rewatch this.
Okay. So it's making sense though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you see now the actual application of JS? Do you see it's nothing new really?
Yeah, I see it.
Mm, awesome. Cool. All right. So I think for today, guys, I think we've touched on a lot, of which you guys have a lot on your plate, and then we are going to ask Mr. Swanele to upload these videos also as well, so that we can see where we are, and we can practice on our own, and then so that we can get a little bit more, confidence in this manner. But remember, my app is different from your app, but the application is the same. Application is always the same. So you know that if you need to validate, this is what you do. If you need to input, this is what you do. You see that? So basically everything hasn't really changed. It's just that the application part. So on this note, guys, I think for today we can close. It's a Friday. You guys need to also, do a little bit of resting. We'll talk again on Monday. Then hopefully on Monday I should be done with this thing. I want to be done on this thing so that I can show you how it actually looks like. So yeah, all the best, guys. Have an awesome weekend and please be safe. We'll talk on Monday. Cheers.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a blessed weekend as well, and to everyone else.
Thank you, Pascalina.